Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the ROYL Life Podcast. This week we are doing another live episode, so that's why we don't have an intro and all of the bells and whistles of this week's episode. But we have a fun one planned for you. I am actually doing a trip report this week from a trip I literally just got back from, and so Kenzie and I went out to Washington, D.C. and to Virginia to just have a little vacation. And we started the trip off in D.C. I'll talk about that a little bit. Then we went off to Busch Gardens and then spent the rest of our time over at King's Dominion. And I'm excited to talk about our experience there. But before we really dive into this week's episode, I do want to give a few announcements for some upcoming things with ROYL, some really exciting things. And I do want to apologize, as I mentioned before we started this recording. If I sound a little stuffy, it's because I am. And I love spring. Spring's a great season. I love summer, all that. But I do get allergies with that, so I'm a little stuffy still. And just from the temperatures just going all over the place, it's been messing with me. So, yeah. But some things come up with ROYL. One of the big things coming up is our first meetup of 2025. I'm so excited for this one. We are going to Kings Island. It's our annual trip to Kings Island. I believe this is our third time doing this meetup. And it's always been a fun one. We've always had a good turnout. And this year I expect a really good turnout as well. I've heard quite a few people say that they're coming to it, and I'm really excited for it. And the thing that I'm really excited for is we're changing things up this year. And as we've been pushing, and I'm stressing even here now, something neat that we're doing for the first time ever, we're going to see how it works out, is a scavenger hunt through Kings Island. So the Saturday before Kenzie and I left for vacation, we went to Kings Island, and we created this scavenger hunt, as we're calling it, the Coaster Quest. It's going to be so much fun. You will have to look high and low at Kings Island for these things. I will say some of the things are very easy, and for those who frequent the park, it's going to be easy. But there's some things that you're going to have to really look close for. So it's going to be interesting for that. So, be on the lookout when you attend it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So you don't want to miss that. It just gives you another reason to join us. But another reason, a good reason to join it, is just for networking and just for fellowship in general. We love these meetups because we get to interact with you all. And it's so much fun, and just get to catch some coasters at the park. And if it's anything like last year, the weather was perfect. I mean, like, it was sunshine, nice cool breeze. It was a perfect day. And we literally walked on everything. I'm talking soapbox, racer, diamondback, which is unheard of. And just, we got so many coasters, and we even did the bubble show, which we're not doing this year. We learned our lesson last year. That's a whole other thing, whatever. But it was so much fun, and we want you to be a part of it. So Saturday, June 14th at 1 p.m., we're meeting at the Kings Island Theater. It's going to be a great time of fellowship and fun. You don't want to miss it. So mark your calendars, make plans to join us for the very first meetup of 2025. And then our second meetup will be on National Roller Coaster Day, which is August 16th, Saturday, August 16th. And time is to be determined. And it's just going to be a great day at Cedar Point, America's Roller Coast. And you don't want to miss that one. We're working on some things that we might bring the Coaster Quest with us up to Cedar Point. We might do a scavenger hunt there. But most importantly, we want to catch some coasters on National Roller Coaster Day. It worked out in our favor this year. It's on a Saturday. We got 2 brand new coasters up at Cedar Point. You don't want to miss it. So make plans. Clear your schedule. If you have plans, just drop them. Come up to Cedar Point in good old Sandusky, Ohio for this meetup. You don't want to miss it. So those are 2 of our meetups coming up. And some other things to be on the lookout for is this coming Monday, on Podcast. We are joined in the virtual studio by an amazing guest returning for the second time. It's our good friend Alan Green from Answers in Genesis. He is the director of the art and design team there, and he has done some amazing things. We just had Spark of the Ark, which I encourage you to go back to listen to that episode if you haven't listened to it already. He just him and his team did a phenomenal job with that. So I encourage you to listen to that episode before listening to Monday's episode. But coming up on Monday, this is one that you have to listen to it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And he's going to share some things that he shared at the Spark the Art conference. And you don't want to miss this. That's all I can say. And wait till you see the title of the episode. Stay tuned. But we're going to talk Spark the Ark and some announcements that were made at Spark of the Ark. You don't want to miss it. So Monday is going to be an awesome episode with Alan Green, good friend of ours, and just attraction designer extraordinaire. So that's coming up there. And I think that's really pretty much it I can think of. So stay tuned to our socials and see what's coming up and get plugged in. And some great things are ahead for ROYL. Before I even jumped on this episode, and I was a little bit late doing so, I was spending some time with a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about just the vision for ROYL, just what we're excited to see God do through it, in and through it, and we're already planning ahead for the days ahead. Yes, the podcast it's going to go on hiatus at the end of this year, but we have some cool things ahead for 2026 and beyond. So stay tuned for that. And the remainder of this season is going to be great. Coming up the week after Alan Green, we're going to have our friends over at the Christian Music Bros podcast. Brendan's going to be coming on. Just going to talk with him about the podcast and some really neat things the Lord's been doing in his life and through the podcast. The following week, on the 16th of June, will be Debbie Minich, and she's got a great testimony, a great ministry she's going to share with you, really to tie in with what many have deemed June to be tune in for the episode. It's going to be great. The 23rd, our friends over at Coasters and Coffee are coming on. Aaron, and I'm excited to have him on. We're just going to talk coasters, talk coffee, and just talk about the goodness of God. And you don't want to miss that episode. And then the season finale of season 5. We have a special guest coming in the virtual studio that I'm going to leave it as a mystery guest. And what I'm going to do is actually, if you're listening to this on Spotify or even YouTube, go ahead and drop your guess in the comments. So on Spotify, you can actually drop a guess, and I'll actually open up a box and say, who do you think the season 5 finale guest is going to be? You could put it there. But if you're on YouTube, in the comments, leave who you think the season 5 guest is. It's going to be a fun episode. And that will really be a segue into season 6 and what we have in store for that. Again, God's got some great things ahead of us, y'all, and I'm so excited for it. And I just think we're going to go out with a bang in season 6. We're going to go all out. We're going to do the best we can with it, and we got some really cool guests in mind and planned for it that you don't want to miss. But that's enough of the podcast. And again, stay tuned to our socials and all that for upcoming news and events and things like that with ROYL. But let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this week's episode. It is a trip report from a trip literally I just got back from. So Kenzie and I went on our first vacation of the year, or second if you count, Rock the Universe, whatever. But we went out to Virginia and Washington, D.C., just a to get away and just have a good time there. Like I mentioned, we kicked things off in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to go ahead and put this plug in here. If you don't follow already, over on Epic Destinations, that is like my vlogging channel and just theme park content. It's specifically over there. Try to talk, but it's right over there on Epic Destinations. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the bio below, wherever you're listening to this. Go check that out. But I'll have a vlog on each of these things. But to kick things off, we went to Washington, D.C., and we had an interesting time with our Airbnb Wednesday night, and you'll have to watch the vlog for that. I'm not giving anything away, but if you saw our story Wednesday night, you know exactly what happened, and you just got a glimpse of what happened. But it was crazy. The chronicles of that, to the point where I did not go to sleep until about 4 a.m. But anyways, you'll have to check the vlog for that. That's a cliffhanger for you. And I don't know when the episodes will get out of the vlogs, but anyways, we originally had planned to go to the Capitol that Thursday morning. Plans fell through because of what happened the night before. So we're like, we need sleep. So we're going to have to cancel this Capitol tour. I'm bummed about it, but it is what it is. But the cool thing we got to keep doing, got to go to, was the Museum of the Bible. And if you've never been to the Museum of the Bible, I highly encourage it. It is such an amazing museum. It covers the topics pretty much of each floor is a different exhibit. So the first floor is like your introduction, welcome to the museum. They have a kids playground area. They have a special exhibit right now called Then Sings My Soul, I believe it's what it's called. We didn't get to do it, but it's an interactive exhibit that talks about how music and the Bible correspond. A lot to do with music and psalms and modern Christian music and things like that. Like I said, we didn't get to do that, but they also have a Soarin' type attraction where you can go fly through DC to historical locations that have to do with our Christian heritage as Americans. So there's that, and then they have the gift shop, obviously. But if you go to the second floor, this is where it covers the basis of our Christian heritage as Americans. And it basically started from when the Pilgrims came to America in search of religious freedom. They brought the Bible with them, and it just went through the Pilgrims, the Great Awakening, Billy Graham, into today, and how we see God's Word represented there, and how it's impacted lives and changed lives. And one of the cool things at the end of that exhibit was it talked about how the power of a testimony, and it had the I Am Second ministry project at the end of the exhibit that you can check out. It was really neat there. So on the third level, this was probably my favorite part of the museum. So it had to do with the history of the Bible itself, the 66 books of the Bible, and it was divided into 3 different exhibits. The first one, or the route they recommended you do it, it started with the Old Testament. So I'm not giving anything away because you're not even allowed to post videos or take videos or pictures inside this exhibit. But what it is a basically recap of the Old Testament and the need for a savior in a very artistic and very interactive way. So you're basically put in the Old Testament, and you start with creation, and you go all the way to the prophets, and it stops there. Then you go to another exhibit to where it's the life of Jesus and the times of Jesus in Jerusalem. So they have sets built up in there with some actors portraying the life of Jesus, and just some things like a marketplace, a craftsman's workshop. They even had like a little a temple in there to where what it looked like when Jesus taught and preached in the temple. They had the Sea of Galilee and a bunch of cool things in there. And again, with actors kind of portraying if they were in the time of Jesus, and you got to ask them questions about what's a daily life look like in Jerusalem and things like that. It's really neat. But then the final exhibit really wrapped up the New Testament. So the first room, it would cover the life of Jesus, basically from birth to resurrection. And you'd go to the next room, and then in there, it talked about the road to Emmaus. And for those who don't know what the road to Emmaus is, or need a refresh of what it is, it's right after Jesus resurrected. And he was seen of many different people, including two men, Cleophas and Nathan, I believe. But these two men were walking on the road. They were just doubting, okay, I believe Jesus who he said he was, but I don't think he rose from the dead. But what happened was Jesus interacted with these men. They didn't know it was Jesus at first. So they're on the road to the city of Emmaus. And Jesus is talking with them along the way, kind of refreshing their minds of the Old Testament events and just who Jesus was. He's basically revealing himself to them without revealing himself to them, if that makes sense. I encourage you to read it. It's in the book of Acts. And at the very end, obviously, Jesus reveals himself. So he went to their house. He went to Cleophas's house, and he broke bread with them. And that's when they say they knew it was Jesus. Their eyes were opened, and they say, "Did not our hearts burn within us when we talked and walked with the Savior?" So after that, they reference Paul. They kind of recap Paul, who he was, his ministry, how he was converted from Saul to Paul. And then at the very end, the very last room, it was a very brief, I think it was 30 seconds to a minute long clip just talking about how Jesus is coming back again someday. Kind of did Revelation without talking about Revelation in detail. But this beautiful 3-part exhibit there, and that also is my favorite part, just because of the technology, how they told the story of the Bible for its accounts. It was really well done. And again, if you only could do one thing in this museum, I'd recommend that. And even the history of Christianity in America, that was amazing. And then you would go up to the next floor, the fourth floor. On there, I'm trying to think what was there. This floor was how we got the Bible. Yeah, so this exhibit took up the entire floor. These other ones were half a floor, but this one wrapped around the whole floor and basically started with the manuscripts of the Bible and how we got the Bible. And went from the Textus Receptus to hieroglyphic type things and writing on papyrus and all that to all the different translations, how we got the Bible, King James, and how that branched off, and then to where we got it in different languages, and how the exhibit ended, just wrapping up just kind of this whole exhibit, because it's very detailed, very in-depth. And the thing is, you have to spend a whole day, maybe a day and a half there to read and do everything in this museum. But how they wrapped it up was with the thought of not every language has a copy of God's Word. Some people are not privileged to have a copy of God's Word in their native tongue. So we need to be praying for those folks and use our talents and gifts God's given us to take the gospel to them in their language. It was a powerful ending to that, and that's something that I will highlight in that vlog. And just the need for taking the gospel to every living creature. And then on the fifth floor, it's some of their temporary exhibits where they bring in different things. Right now, they're talking about the prayer house. It was basically this house that the church built back in the time of Jesus. Jesus ascended to heaven. The day at Pentecost happens. Church is spreading across the world. And in Jerusalem, there's this thing called the prayer house. It started by some Romans, actually. And they had this mosaic on the floor where they all contributed to the prayer house. So there's this symbol of the Christian fish. That's where we got the Christian fish, which is this fish. and this inscription of Jesus is Lord. I forget what the actual saying was on it, but that's what this exhibit was on, is the archaeological findings of this actual mosaic. So they found the actual remnants of this. So they have a bench from in there, the original, or some of the original tiles from that mosaic were found, and they were put back together for this exhibit. Really neat. Sixth floor was their restaurant, which was really good. They had some items from the time of Jesus there, so hummus and papaya, all that stuff, and they obviously had burgers and things like that. And I think I coined the term for the burger, the kill the fatted calf. So that's what the burger was. Really wasn't the real name of it, but that's what I called it. But so that was the Museum of the Bible. Again, I highly encourage everyone to check it out if you're in Washington, D.C. You will not regret it. It's such an amazing attraction that it's talked about, but I don't think talked about enough. And it's beautifully done. And another plug for Spark of the Ark. So next year at Spark of the Ark, the guys on the board of chairman for the Museum of the Bible will be one of the keynote speakers. His name is Steve Green. He is also the president of Hobby Lobby, so he'll be one of the keynote speakers next year. Thought I'd plug that. But so that was Museum of the Bible, and after that it was 5:00. A lot of the museums and things were closing in Washington, D.C., so we got to just walk the streets and just see everything Washington, D.C. had to offer, including the monuments. So Kenzie's never been to Washington, D.C. until this trip. So some of the things we definitely need to hit up were obviously the White House. Sadly, we weren't able to go into the White House because you have to book ahead of time. I'm talking like they're already booked out through a couple months now. But we got to go see the White House, like the outside and the Rose Garden and all that stuff. It was really neat. We went to the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument, the World War II memorial there. Just beautiful. And I encourage too, if you're in Washington, D.C. and seeing these monuments, see them at night. It is so beautiful, especially on the National Mall there. I had to think of the name there. But seeing the Lincoln Memorial and the reflecting pool, beautiful. It is so beautiful and breathtaking. Highly encourage it. So that's my plug for you all. If you've never been to Washington, D.C., I encourage every American to visit it at least once in their life. You will not regret it. This is my second time going to Washington, D.C. I went my junior year of high school with my family. That's been one of my favorite family vacations growing up, and I'm so glad I got to bring Kenzie here. And someday I'd love to bring my family here when they're old enough, which I will go ahead and give this disclaimer. There is a lot of walking in Washington, D.C. Things are spread out. But I highly encourage you to take, honestly, a week. Just take out a week to see everything, do everything there. You will not regret it. So that's Washington, D.C., the first day of our trip. Moving on to Friday. So our first park destination was Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And for that, it's okay park, not my favorite park. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up my park ranking list here, and I'm going to talk while I do that. But Busch Gardens Williamsburg was celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and they didn't do much for it except Big Bad Wolf. That's what they got this year, was Big Bad Wolf family coaster, which it was opening day for that. So they had their media previews a week ago before we went, but this was the grand opening the day of, and we're thinking, oh my goodness, today it's going to be packed. And people are going to be out the wazoo for it, which that was how the day started. The line was just out the wazoo. I saw pictures that the park had posted, and we're like, oh goodness, this is going to be insane. So we're like, brace yourself. Let's go ahead and knock it out. So we started the day actually with Dart Coaster, which our friend Kyle Lindner, who's been on the podcast a few weeks ago, Yeah, he's with Coaster 101. They had their meetup that weekend or the weekend before. They went to Busch Gardens and King's Dominion as well. Had their yearly meetup there, and Kyle was recommending you got to start with Dark Coaster when you're there, so because that one likes to get packed very quickly. In which we saw that it was close to 15 minutes for our first ride on there, which we got to ride a second time later on, and it was a lot shorter than that. But Dark Coaster, we got to start with that. I thought it was a pretty neat coaster, very unique. Obviously, spoiler alert for those who don't know, it's an indoor dark ride coaster, basically, and it's one big loop. So you can only push out one car per time, or one train per time, just because it's literally in a big loop. So you go through the track twice, and really neat ride. I liked it, and the theming in it's pretty cool, because it used to be a dark ride, then it was a haunted house for a while, and then it recently became the coaster, dark coaster, as they call it. So really neat ride there. And then we went to lunch at the Fest House. We got some pizza. Not the best pizza. I'm a pizza connoisseur. If you know me, I love pizza, and this one is probably not one of my favorites, but it is what it is. And by the way, I do encourage you all to use get the daily dining plan if you don't have a season pass or whatever. If you're visiting this periodically or even one day, I encourage you to get the dining plan. It's worth it. Every 90 minutes you get to get a meal. And we took advantage of that. Like I said, our lunch was at the Fest House. We got pizza, cheese, mozzarella sticks, which were amazing. I love the mozzarella sticks. And obviously a soda with it. But after that, we went over to Big Bad Wolf. And here's my disclaimer for you all. You will be forced to put your stuff in a locker. And the lockers tend to fill up quickly, especially over by Big Bad Wolf, because they're very limited for whatever reason. There's not a lot of lockers. So you're going to have to go all the way over to Dark Coaster, or actually to Verbolten. That's one they recommend, but first and foremost, I'll say this. Verbolten was closed, and this is a bucket list coaster for me. I've been dying to do this thing. And the week before we went, obviously, like I said, is Media Day. Our good friend Jameer over at Park Vision, he warned us it's not going to be open for you guys. It's going to be open a month later. And we're like, oh, goodness. This is like a bucket list. This is really this is the reason why we went on this specific park, is because we wanted to ride Verbolten. This is something I want to knock off my bucket list. I wanted to do it so bad. It was down. And I've heard rumblings from people saying there's something wrong with the drop track. Kind of glad we didn't ride it if something's wrong with the drop track. Which, spoiler, there's a drop track if no one knew about that. But so that's what happened there. Yeah, so we went over to Verbolten. The lockers were down just like the ride. So we went over to Dark Coaster and we got a locker. Come to find out, once you get into the queue, they have cubbies. And here's the thing too, all the rides have cubbies as well. So I don't know why you have to get lockers. It's crazy, it's stupid, it's silly, but whatever. We got the locker, literally walked right on Big Bad Wolf. I think we waited 10-15 minutes for it. It wasn't bad compared to when the park opened at the beginning of the day. Later in the evening, it got insane again. Thankfully, the funny thing is we've hit these rides at the right time. It's like, I don't know if people were falling behind us or what it was, but we got to walk on pretty much everything. And we did have the quick queue pass, I think is what it's called. You only get one ride of each coaster except for a few of them. It's weird. But even with quick queue, we flew through the queues. A lot of these lines were, I'm talking 15 to 30 minutes. It was not bad. We could easily wait in some of these lines. But it was nice to get a little head start and try to knock out as much as we could. So we do that. We do Big Bad Wolf, which I will say it is really great family inverted coaster. It's really good. I like it more than the Dragon Flyer over at Dollywood. I like it. The scenic elements are really nice. It's almost like a almost hit moment. Like you're going through this village, and basically the story of the coaster, it's pretty cool that they have a story with it. So you're the big bad wolf, and the villagers are trying to get you. You're running through the village streets and all that, trying to wreak havoc. Plot twist, you get captured. And then at the end, they're celebrating that they captured you. So that was the Big Bad Wolf. Really great family coaster. It's not a thrill ride. I can tell you that right now. It is not a thrill ride. I think it was 40 miles per hour ride. Just gliding through these scenes. It was really nice, but don't go thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to do some inverts. We're going to do some, we're going to go flipping around and all that. That's not what this is. It's just a nice family coaster, which I encourage as like a gateway coaster for a little one that's at the park. And this is like their first coaster. I'd recommend it. Because actually it was the girl in front of us there, or I guess behind us, or got out before us, whatever. They were getting their pictures. We had the fun pics or whatever they call it at their park. We were getting our picture, and the folks that were right behind us were like, yeah, this was her very first coaster. She loved it. Now she wants to go ride everything in the park. So it's really neat to hear that and just see the excitement of this little girl. And it's just so cool. But we did that, and then we went over to, I'm trying to think. Honestly, the day was a blur. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the trusty Log Ride app here so I can go through everything and make sure I don't miss anything. That was on. Here we go. So we did Dark Coaster, Big Bad Wolf, then Finnegan's Flyers. I love a good scream and swing, and that's what this was. I will say this is one of the prettiest scream and swings that we've been on. We've done Dollywood, we've done Cedar Point, we've done Silver Dollar City, but Finnegan Flyers is really nice. You're in the woods of Busch Gardens. You're going through the trees. It's awesome. Nice breeze through there. You're going over water. It's really nice. So Finnegan's Flyers, your good old swing and scream there. And Griffin, I got a story for you all, so buckle up, because that's what we needed to do for Griffin. So we rode Griffin at Busch Gardens. So for Griffin, we get up through quick queue. We get front of the line. That's the cool thing about the quick queue, is it gets you to the front of the line on some of these coasters. So I think it's kind of worth it just for that. But yeah, so we get to the front row. We love a good dive coaster. Usually dive coasters are safe. You're strapped in there pretty well, except for this one. So we get into our seats. We pull down the harness, click the belt. We're like, okay, waiting for them to lock the train. Okay, you're gonna push down the harness. Okay, make sure it's okay. Cool. Waiting for them to lock the train. All right, all clear. Okay, we're waiting for them to lock the train. We're we're going. We're not locked in. We are not locked in. Okay, we're going up we're up the hill. We are up the hill. Our seats are not locked. Kenzie, hold on. So we are going up the hill. Drop. I'm holding my harness back down as hard as I could. I'm like, Kenzie, hold your harness. I get clicked. I get stapled. Going down this, I'm hurting, and I'm obviously not going to show you, but I have a scar, or not a scar, like a bruise on my shoulder and on my armpit. Kenzie's still not locked, so I'm holding it back, holding it as hard as I can. And in the photo, you see me going to grab her harness. I'm like, she's like, trying to be positive, but I'm like, entire ride, I'm like holding it with my life to keep it down. Hers never locked. I was scared to death. And yeah, we made the attendants aware. She didn't care. But that was a terrible experience there. Um, Never doing that again. Moving on to Alpengeist. Alpengeist, I will say this is one of my favorite coasters in the park. I'll tell you my absolute favorite here in a bit. The Alpengeist, I love a good invert, and Alpengeist was just that. I would say it's my second favorite invert, and I think my number one's a very controversial one. It is Banshee. I love Banshee. It's first because it's Kings Island. The strengths are very comfortable. But I think I love Alpengeist just for the theming and just the fact that it was just a fun ride. We rode in the back. It was crazy. It was fun. Thankfully, we were locked. We were safe. We had a good old time. We sat next to some enthusiasts and just had a good old time with that. Yeah. So that was Alpengeist. My second favorite ride at the park. I loved it. And then moving on to the next one here. Old Nessie. Nessie beat me up. um, so good old Loch Ness Monster. Recently retracked. It didn't feel like it was recently retracked. So it just reminded me why I hated Vortex. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of Loch Ness Monster. Moving on to the next one, we went on the Busch Gardens Railway. That was fun. It was really cool to ride that and just see the park a little bit there. And I forget where we stopped. It might have been over. Yes, it was over by the Italian area. So we stopped over at that station. It was really cool to just ride through, just kick back, relax, and enjoy that. We also saw the Clydesdales. Before riding the train, we were waiting for the train to arrive. We got to see the Clydesdale, get a picture with him. He is cute, with PhotoPass, they do a few poses with him. One of them's like he's smiling, he's just staring at the camera, and the one looks like he's licking it. It's really cool. I'll post a picture of that, I guess, on Epic Destination. Check that out. It'll be in the vlog too, but after that, we went to what may be my absolute favorite coaster at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. It might have been for Bolton. I will say this maybe out for Bolton. It is Pantheon. Y'all, Pantheon was amazing. I love that coaster so much. We did it twice. We did it while it was still daylight out, and this is our last coaster of the night as well. And I'll tell you what, you have to ride it at night in the back. That was amazing. I loved it so much. Pantheon may be one of my favorite coasters out there. Um, it's it's definitely in my top 10, if not my top 5. I really don't. I really need to evaluate all the coasters I've ridden. There's so many good ones out there, but Pantheon I think is up there. Such a fun coaster. Kenzie and I love multi-launches, and this was multi-launch madness, amazingness. And yeah, so if you get to ride just only one ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, it has to be Pantheon. Check that out. Next is Tempesto. And I'm trying to think if that was. Tempesto. That was a fun coaster. Nothing to really brag about, but fun coaster. Apollo's Chariot. It's a hyper. Next one is the Sky Ride. This was so much fun. So we did the Sky Ride. We started over in the Sesame Street area and went basically through the whole track of it. And the funny story with this is it was down for a while. They were saying it was because of the wind and things like that. Okay. Sadly, we don't have to ride it, but we were the first in line over in Sesame Street for it. And boy, I tell you what, the sun was setting. You're going through the trees. Just nice breeze. It was beautiful. We loved it. Just great way to kick back, relax. We had our ices with us. We actually had what was it called? The shaved ice place. We had it twice at Dominion. What is it called? Goodness, it's slipping off my mind. I'll think of it later on. You probably are screaming it at me. That's the gelati, whatever it's called. The shaved ice and gelati. Starts with a G. Anyways, we had that. We're sitting on the ride. We're just enjoying it. Beautiful sunset, breeze going through trees. It's great. Anyways, while we got over after the sky ride, we went back to Dark Coaster. 15 minutes. We were, and this is one we can't even get on our quick queue. 15 minutes straight through, front row. Holy cow, that was fun. So, if you're riding, here's a tip for you all. If you're riding Dark Coaster for the first time, sit in the back first. Their first ride on needs to be in the back so you can experience all the effects and things that happen inside Dark Coaster. But the second time you ride it, definitely sit in the front. That's all I'm going to say about that. It is so cool. And then we finished the night off on Pantheon, like I said. Great time, especially in the dark. It was so much fun. We were cutting it really close to the park close, so we got on just in the nick of time at 9 o'clock. So that was our day at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Not my favorite park that I've been to. Yeah, there's some perks to it. It's got some really good coasters there, but it was not a Cedar Fair park, a Legacy Cedar Fair park, which I'm going to talk about here in a bit. I love a good Legacy Cedar Fair park. Just the hospitality, just the cleanliness, just the good customer service is what you get from Cedar Fair park. Not so much SeaWorld Park. We've seen that with SeaWorld Orlando, but it just stinks. But we had a good time anyways. We made the best of it. Minus Griffin and Loch Ness Monster. The other coasters were great. I enjoyed them. So, but Pantheon is number one. So, and then at the very end of our episode, we have a few questions that were submitted. I put it out in the story. Hey, if you have any questions about anything we experienced or anything like that, drop them here. We'll answer them. But that was really our day at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So they really didn't celebrate their 50th as much as King's Dominion did, or any other park that celebrated 50th. They just had like a topiary medallion at the front of the park. Had a few placards saying what was like an opening day attraction or whatever. So if you were going to the park and didn't know it was the 50th, you wouldn't have known it was the 50th. They didn't do anything for it. But it is what it is. But let me grab a drink real quick and then we'll talk. We're going to talk King's Dominion. I'm excited for this one, y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right. So now to talk King's Dominion. And this one, I'm going to go ahead and share my rankings with you all. So for these two parks, I have visited 18 parks. Kenzie and I have visited 18 parks since we were married. And on my rankings here, out of 18, Busch Gardens Williamsburg is 12. And King's Dominion is number 5. This tells you the night and day difference of these two. But for those who are curious, or who actually care, probably not a lot of you, but my park rankings of the ones we visited, beginning at number 1 is Dollywood. Number 2 is Islands of Adventure. 3 is Universal Studios Orlando. We haven't been to Hollywood yet. 4 is Silver Dollar City. 5 is King's Dominion. 6 is Cedar Point. 7 is Holiday World. I was thinking Hollywood Nights. But Holiday World is number 7. 8 is Dorney Park. 9 is Kings Island. 10 is Carowinds. 11 is Epcot. 12 is Busch Gardens. 3 is Hershey Park. 4 is Magic Kingdom. 15 is Hollywood Studios. 16 is Animal Kingdom. 17 is Kentucky Kingdom. And 18 is SeaWorld Orlando. So yeah. Hopefully you all agree with that. But if not, whatever. But moving on to why King's Dominion is so high up on my list. We spent 2 days at this park, and we do not regret it at all. So King's Dominion is such an amazing park. I dare to say it was a lot more beautiful and a lot more cleaner than Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And that park has won awards for being beautiful. I will say the thing that probably has won that for Dominion is the fact that there's so many trees. There are so many trees at that park. And yeah, it's just so nice and shaded. I don't know why we don't have that at Kings Island. It's like we hardly have any trees. There's a few here and there, but I'm talking like Kings Dominion, like International Street's covered with trees to the point where they couldn't even do like a drone or fireworks show. You couldn't even see it, most likely down International Street compared to Kings Island. But it was such a nice park, and the people working there were phenomenal. I'm talking like this is Dollywood quality service here. I'm like, up until 10 o'clock, everybody was just so nice. Just, it's like they were just like some of the nicest people you'll ever meet at a theme park, working at a theme park. And yeah, it was great. I'm talking security was nice. Security's like it's a hit or miss at some parks. These people are like, all right, come through scanners. Okay, you need to go over to the table. Okay, cool. Or go through. There's nothing like, all right, have a great day. We'll see you later type thing. Like these people were happy to be there. It's so cool. But when you go up to the ticket stand, they say your name and all like, all right, Donnie, you have a great day and enjoy the 50th celebration. Woohoo! It's even funny. One night, it was the Sunday night. I'm talking, we were whooped. I'm getting ahead of the report here, but we were just whooped where we just went back to our Airbnb for a bit, just took a nap. We were worn out. Some of these coasters will beat you up in a good way, which I'll say this. I don't even know how I can rank these coasters at Kings Dominion. They've got a really good lineup of coasters. It's really hard to rank them. I have two coasters that I'd say are like up there as my favorites. But it was hard to place these. It's like, I like this one. I like this for this reason. I like this for this reason. We liked all the coasters. We can't say that that we didn't like any. Even the ones that were duplicates for Kings Island and Dominion, I would say, yeah. So they had Backlot Stun Coaster and Flight of Fear. Those were duplicates. Pretty much identical except for Flight of Fear, then it had the mid-course break. But yeah. But anyways, get back to our day. People were phenomenal. And the park was clean. I'm talking spotless. And they were on top of their game, cleaning tables, cleaning up grounds, and all that. And I'll get to that, Leah. Leah asked, I want to know why is Kings Island higher on your list than Epcot? I'll get to that later. But yeah, great park. So to kick things off, something neat we were lucky and able to do is like we started our day off that Friday or that Saturday with Rapterra, their brand new attraction. We were first in line. And hey, Katie. And we started the day off at Rapterra, and that was a good choice because it's a new coaster. We didn't know what to expect at all. We thought the line was going to be out the wazoo, which we got to do it twice in a row. And that tells you about the first day there. That Saturday, it was almost everything was a walk-on. We didn't have front of the line or anything for it. Everything was basically a walk-on. And our friend John Angler, who's been on the podcast, things like that, he was like, "Man, it's such a crowd day." I'm like, "This ain't crowded at all. This is a walk-on. This is like a light day at Kings Island." So yeah, we got 2 rides on Rapterra back to back. It was great. And then looking at my notes here, so Rapterra twice. The first time was in the front row. Highly recommend the front row if you need a nice fly through of that. Then on the back we rode the second time. And then After that, we rode a flat ride called Arachnida or something like that. And I'm going to throw this in there too. Jungle X, their brand new area, or fully revamped area. Listen closely to the safety spiel on all these rides. So if you are a theme park fan and have been following along with Epic Universe closely, there's a name that sticks out named Alicia Stella. And she has a podcast channel called Theme Park Stop. And she covered, I'm talking Epic Universe from start to finish. Like, she covered this thing faithfully. She even broke the news about it before it was even broken by Universal. She found the patents and all that for it. She's the narrator. She does the safety spiel for everything Jungle X, which is really cool to hear her voice other than talking about Stardust Racers. It is neat to hear about, welcome to Rapterra. Be sure to buckle up and put all your belongings in the box. I'm like, oh, that's Alicia Still. That's pretty cool. But anyways, so that was that Arachnida, or whatever, however you pronounce that right. Arachnida, that was that. And then after that, we went on Reptilian. And this was Kenzie's 100th coaster. I was like, are you sure you want to waste it on Reptilian? You really want to waste your 100? She's like, we're over here. Let's go ahead and knock it out. So we enjoyed it. It was a really nice bobsled coaster. Unique. Something we've never done before. Reptilian, we did that quite a few times on this trip, and it was really neat, especially at night. You don't see anything. You're going through the woods and all that. You're on this bobsled, like, oh my goodness, where are we going? You feel like you're going to fall off sometimes. Really cool. But after that, Kenzie sat this next one out. I wrote it because I'll do anything for a credit, even if it hurts. But Toonbeely. And Toonbeely is one I didn't know what to expect for it. I've heard people say, oh, this hurts, you'll black out, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, if I black out, I black out. Cool, whatever. If I get sick, I get sick, which I don't get sick on coasters. I don't get motion sick at all, which is weird. But awesome, I guess, to my advantage as a coaster enthusiast. But I rode Toonbeely. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it to the point where it's like, I could do this again. But the line is pretty long. I don't want to waste some time. I got plenty of other rides to ride. But yeah, so Toonbeely was great. Flight of Fear, again, is basically a clone of what Kings Island has, except they don't have a mid-course break. You're going full force through the whole thing. And then Racer 75, we did that. Exact same layout as the Racer in Kings Island, except for the ending. You get more of a dip, then back into the station. It was all right. Gravity Group is in the process of retracking that. You could definitely tell where they haven't hit yet, but I highly encourage you doing the north side. If you're riding it this season, definitely ride the north side. A lot smoother, but is fun. Is the Racer. So technically 3 rides that are duplicate of Kings Island. Yes, that's true, Katie. So 40 free spinners like Toonbeely are very underrated. And I was telling Kinsey that. And I was telling a friend of mine as well, who's a coaster enthusiast, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why people hate on these so much. They're so much fun. It's like, that was your first one? It was a pretty good one to start off with. So Toonbeely was great. And then next on our list, so after Racer 75, we're hanging out with John at this point. And he's like, are you guys up for a crazy ride? I'm like, okay, what is this crazy ride? He's like, Twisted Timbers. We're like, this is one we're so excited for. We love a good RMC. So we get to Twisted Timber. He's like, you may want to sit in the back on this first one. So we were in the back. Great ride. We loved it so much. We rode it a total of, how many times did we ride this thing? I'm cheating here. I'm looking at my log right here as I go through. So we ended up riding Twisted Timbers more than 6 times. Our 2 days there, we rode Twisted Timbers 6 times. It was worth it, I'll tell you that. And I would say this is our second favorite, or at least my second favorite RMC. Kenzie's list is a little bit different than mine. She has Wildcat's Revenge as her second favorite RMC. This is my second favorite, but we both agree that of the RMCs we've ridden, Steel Vengeance is still number one. But so yeah, Twisted Timbers was great. I will say this: we rode Twisted Timbers at night in the front row 3 times in a row. First, I think that's where my soreness right now is really taking shape. Like, I feel pretty sore after it, but it was so worth it. And I will say this, and I think a lot of Kings Island, like, fans are going to get mad at me for saying this, and a lot of coaster enthusiasts are probably going to be like, you're out of your mind for saying this. But I will dare to say, Twisted Timbers at night is better than a night ride on the Beast. There, I said it. And my personal opinion, I think Twisted Timbers at night is a better ride than the Beast at night. Yeah. So Twisted Timbers was one of our favorites, and that's why I'm sore today. But so we rode Twisted Timbers. Great ride. So after Twisted Timbers, we went over to Grizzly, recently retracked by our friends over at Gravity Group. Mike and the team and Brian and Corey and all them did a phenomenal job on it, and their guys did a phenomenal job on it. Restoring this classic coaster. It is, I would say this is truly the Son of the Beast. Not the Son of the Beast, not what was at Kings Island, but I'm saying this is like the predecessor of Kings Island's Beast. A lot shorter, nice little ride through the woods there. Grizzly was fun. Fun little wooden coaster there. Then we went off to something that is tradition for when we're with John at a park, we have to do Boo Blasters. So we did their Boo Blasters. The blasters didn't work. The effects were loud, but the blasters did not work. Scared me a few times for all the wrong reasons, because I tell you what, this Boo Blasters was in the dark, and they had their sound effects on full blast, and these speakers are right up against your car. So I had a few jump scares, and it was not Halloween Haunt. So, yeah. And then we hit up Rapterra again. Great time. Saw their night show, Light the Night. It's a dance party with lights. Then we rode Twisted Timbers 3 times in a row. We were insane for that. Front row. Again, better than the Beast at night. Windseeker, we rode that. Nice, cool night to ride it up in the air. Yeah, and then Rapterra to close out the night there. Then Sunday, we pretty much rode everything again. Some honorable mentions of things that we didn't ride the day before. We did Dominator on Saturday with John. Rode that. It's fun, floorless coaster. And then we did the Eiffel Tower. And it was neat to see it, the park from the Eiffel Tower. It's always fun to go to the one at Kings Island, but it was neat to see the layout of the park here. It's really neat. It's neat. So Eiffel Tower, great trip going up there. We saw the Singing Mushrooms. It's really neat to hear the kind of backstory of that from John. Really neat little history piece there for King's Dominion. Nice little icon there. Piece of nostalgia that they brought back for their 40th anniversary is what I heard from John. And something cool that John did with us is we really didn't know the history of King's Dominion other than it is the sister park of Kings Island. It shared a lot of the same attractions, especially back in the Paramount and Taft days of the park. So it was neat to see some of those Easter eggs he showed us from former rides and things like that. So one of the things I knew going in, he kind of verified too, was in the center entrance area of Rapterra. So right before you go into the temple, which is where you enter the queue to split off to the left and right, which side of the track you go on, there's this big pit. And this is where the original volcano was for Volcano the Blast coaster. I knew it was there, but he's like, here's some of the of the volcano, some pieces of that volcano. That's really neat. And if you go further down the Jungle X, there's this waterfall. So this used to house a few different dark rides inside of it. And there's like a bobsled thing, like the Matterhorn bobsled out at Disneyland. That was in there. They had Smurfs ride, something called a Noofkers or something weird little thing was in there. A few different dark rides over time, but ultimately it became this little waterfall Easter egg. And speaking of Easter eggs, in Jungle X there are a bunch of Easter eggs for Kings Island and Cedar Point. And a few other Cedar Fair parks are mixed in there, but definitely a lot of Kings Island and Cedar Point were in there. So we saw Vortex, Orion, Mystic Timbers, Diamondback, Blue Streak, Millennium, Magnum, all these different things were on different little Easter eggs. You'll have to look for them in the park. And then following that, we did Backlot Stunt Coaster. And that was a clone of Kings Island, or what is called the Queen City Coaster, Queen City Stunt Coaster. Did Reptilian again, Twisted Timbers again, Blue Ridge Tollway. I'm trying to think what that was. What was Blue Ridge Tollway? Oh, yes. It is their antique auto cars. So we did it. I will say this is a very pretty antique autos. So you're going through the woods. It felt like a nice little Sunday morning drive in an antique car. So we did that twice. That was fun. Did Boo Blasters because we needed a little bit of AC there. And then we went back to our Airbnb, like I said, took a little nap. We were worn out. Went back to the park at 7 o'clock, caught a few more coasters. And for those who know me, I hate wild mouses. Because first and foremost, they hurt. And secondly, you sometimes feel like your life is in danger. You're about to fall off the side of the coaster. But not at King's Dominion. So I rode Apple's Apple, which is their wild mouse coaster, which I will say for the very first time, other than Cedar Point's brand new Wild Mouse, this one was very comfortable. I did not hurt, but I did fear for my life for a few times. I thought we're going to tilt off the track. Obviously, that's a Wild Mouse. That's part of the experience, but I will give Apples number 2 on my coaster. So my ranking of Apples, Cedar Point, number 1, number 2, Apples, and nothing else because I hate the rest of them. So moving on, we again ended our trip with Rapterra. And what a great way to start the trip, and what a great way to end the trip at King's Dominion. So I love King's Dominion. Here's why. I love King's Dominion because it's home away from home. I like it a little bit more just because there's little things here and there at the park that I'm just like, I wish we could have this at Kings Island. I wish Kings Island would learn from this and implement it into their park. Just little things here and there is like, if Kings Island had this, it would be higher on my list. And this is my home park. But it was home away from home. It's vacation with a touch of home. And I love what they did for their 50th anniversary. They didn't do as much as Kings Island. I give the 50th anniversary award to Kings Island. I've been to a few different 50th anniversary type events at parks, but Kings Island, I will say, really hit home for me. Not just because it was home, but it was just the fact that what they did was, you could tell they put some time, effort, and love into how they did their 50th anniversary. They had Phantom Theater Encore. They had the Off the Rails show. They had probably the best nighttime show I've ever seen in my life. Fun Fireworks 50. That was a true love letter to the Kings Island fans. Man, it's like one of those things where the first time I saw it, I got a little emotional. Just because you could tell the park showed how much they love their fans. Because they went through 50 years of Kings Island history. And that's the thing I love about Kings Island, that you could kind of tell with Dominion, but they didn't fully go through with. Out of all the Six Flags, all the Cedar Fair, of all the parks we've ever been to, Kings Island truly loves their history. They love where they've been. They love where they're at, and they love where they're gonna be. And they definitely put it on display with their park, not just with Tower of Gardens, but truly, truly paying homage to where they came from. They looked back and seen what got them to where they are today. And with all the merger, with all the changes, one thing I hope and pray for Kings Island is that they never lose sight of what makes them an amazing park. It's their history and their love for their fans. And so I love Dominion just for the fact they have a few things over Kings Island. I love Kings Island because it's Kings Island. It's home. And you can't take home away from you. And that's just, I'm sure people could say that about their home park, whether it's Hershey, whether it's Disney Parks, Universal, whatever it may be. We could all say we love our home park, but I truly could vouch for Kings Island. If they were ever to decide to do something outrageous, I would petition. I'd be the first to sign the petition to keep Kings Island the way it is. Because you cannot take the charm out of it, or else it's not a good park. It's not what makes it what it is. You could get rid coasters come and go. I get that. It's going to happen at Kings Island. But once you get rid of that charm, once you get rid of that love that the owners have for it, you don't have Kings Island. So that's our trip report here. Like I mentioned, we do have a few questions that were submitted over on our stories today. I'm going to go ahead and answer some of them real quick. So thank you to those who sent those in. I did mention that we went to Wawa. Is great. So the first question we have here is, I love Wawa. What did you order at Wawa? So the first night there, it was Sunday night. We're leaving Dominion. We are tired. We're like, we need a little pick-me-up to get through the rest of this journey to our Airbnb. So what we got were just a few little drinks there. I got a frozen lemonade. Kinsey got a, I think it was some kind of birthday cake or some kind of strawberry shake or something like that. She said it was really good. I take her word at it. So, and by the way, that reminds me, Rita's. That's the name of the place that we were at. Rita's was the gelati place that we had at Busch Gardens and twice at Dominion. We don't ever get that here in Ohio. I think there's only one place close to us, but Rita's. Highly recommend Rita's. But going back to Wawa, so we just got drinks the first night. We got little smoothies and frozen drinks there. But on Monday, when we were heading back to Ohio, we stopped in for breakfast. I got a wrap, and Kinsey got like a breakfast sandwich. She said it was all right. My wrap was pretty good. And yeah, so that's what we got from Wawa. We're getting one here in Ohio and close to where I live here soon. So hopefully I get to try more of their menu. I've heard good things about it. So that's a question about Wawa. And next question here is, did you all go to Arlington or Mount Vernon? Not on this trip. Our time in DC was very crunch time. Like I said, we got to do the Museum of the Bible, Lincoln Memorial, Washington Memorial, White House. We got to see the Capitol from afar. Sadly, we didn't get to go in because of what I mentioned before with the chaos of the Airbnb the night before. But we do want to go back to Washington, D.C. maybe next year for the 250th anniversary of America. We're going to go back, experience a lot more. I think my family's coming with us. So we're going to try to do all the museums, all the memorials, all the landmarks and things like that. So Kinsey can fully experience DC for what it is and just the beauty of it. And at the time my family went last, my youngest brother was really little. I think he was elementary school, like kindergarten age or something like that. So he doesn't remember. All he remembers is he wanted to go back to the hotel because his feet were killing him. So we're going to go back next year. Hopefully my brother and sister-in-law join us, which, by the way, my brother's getting married here soon. Zach, who's been on the podcast before, he's getting married in just 1 month. Less than a month now. So in a few weeks, Zach will be getting married. So congratulations, Zach and Alyssa. I'm sure we'll say it again later on in a future episode towards the end of the season. But Hopefully Zach and Alyssa come with us, and then our brother Andrew. Now he's grown up a little bit. I'm sure he'll love it more. So that's our plan for next year. Maybe, hopefully, hit up King's Dominion again. But we didn't get to experience Arlington or Mount Vernon. And then the last question that was submitted was, what is the best ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg? Hands down, Pantheon. Man, I love Pantheon, and I cannot wait to ride it again someday. But that does it for our episode this week. Hope you all enjoyed this little live special here. Group made a special appearance earlier in the episode, but thank you all for tuning in and listening to me ramble on this trip report. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to do another one later this year. Some other little parks and things like that. But that'll do it for this week's episode of the Ride of Your Life podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, you can stay tuned to everything coming up, including information about our upcoming meetup to Kings Island on June 14th at 1 p.m. Kings Island. Meet at the Kings Island Theater. We'll give you more details in the days to come. Coaster Quest, going to be fun. And then our meetup in August 16th. National Roller Coaster Day. You don't want to miss it at Cedar Point. Again, stay tuned for all that. And all the awesome episodes of the ROYL Podcast, including this Monday with Alan Green. I will leave you with this cliffhanger. You all need to buckle up for this episode. That's all I'm going to say about that. You will definitely want to listen to it next Monday. But again, stay tuned to our website, rideofyourlifeministries.com. Check our merch shop, all that good stuff. Subscribe to us here on YouTube so you don't miss a live stream or another episode of the podcast, and all your favorite podcast streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, all those other podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's probably there. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us this week here on the Ride of Your Life podcast. We will see you Monday with Alan Green here on the ROYL Podcast. Peace.